Hi, welcome back to CS 170. We're continuing with week 9, looking at Excel sheets. Um, so I asked people to do a couple of these different things on their own, just implement it, just throw some numbers in the Excel sheet, and just demonstrate these. And you can send me a screenshot and whatnot. But I'm gathering that some people are having some issues with the Countif function. So I'm going to show you a couple back on the worksheet that I did here. And let me just clear this out. So let me do the Countif. So you remember for the functions where if I do the equals and then I start typing stuff in here, you'll actually get some help. It'll start to tell you some different possible functions that will fulfill your needs. You can see a whole bunch of functions here, but let's do the count if. So now it tells you what what it needs. In this case, it wants a range, right? So here, I'm going to take this range of numbers here. So from this cell down to this cell. So I'm just going to highlight it down like that. And you could have typed it in manually. I just kind of did the drag and drop to make this block, but you could have put in F5 with colon and then F10. So that indicates a range of cells. Later on in one of the videos, we'll just show you how to make a named range also. But this is a range from one cell to another cell, right? F5, F10, right? So this is your F right here. And then here's your 5, and here's your 10. So that's F5 to F10. So that's your range, comma. And then here's your criteria. So what do we want this criteria to be? Well, first things first, you need to put in a quote here. And let's say I want everything that is greater than 300. So I put a greater than sign, and then I put 300, and then I close it off the quote, and then I close off the paren. And it tells me 3. So does that hold true? Well, we have 1, 2, and 3. So there's 3 numbers here that's in this range that I selected that's greater than 300. Right? If I change this slightly, if I go here, let's make this 299, let's say. And then it becomes 4, right? Because now I picked up the 300. I could have easily done it another way. I could have said greater than or equal, and then 300. Okay, and then I would have picked that up also. Now the other thing that I want to show you is actually, instead of putting the number, essentially hard code a number in here, we'll put into a cell here. So let's put 300 here, and then I'm going to do equals count if, and let's do the range again. So I got the same range. So same thing here where you see F5 colon F10. That's the range of cells. And put a comma here, and then same thing. I want the greater than sign, but now I want to add a cell to it. And how do I do that? The idea of concatenation, I'll draw a similar line to, or analogy to what you did in JavaScript, right? You remember you did those plus signs to concatenate strings together. Here in Excel, you're going to use an ampersand sign. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to say H6 is the cell. H and 6, like that. All right, so look at what I have here. Countif, here's the range F5 to F10, and then I did a greater than, and then I did the ampersand sign, and then I did a cell reference H6, which is H, and 6, which is 300. All right, so I kind of did the same thing here. Let me just change this equal so you can see I actually got the same result here. So 4 and 4, right? So one way is to put the number in there, right, greater than or equal to the 300. Another way to do it is just have the double quotes around like the comparison operator, do an ampersand sign, and add in whichever cell you want. So if you play around with it, you can get pretty creative, and you can like build up a whole bunch of different things. You use these ampersand signs, you can put formulas in there, these comparison operators, like all kinds of stuff. You can build a lot on this type of thing. But this is a pretty basic example for you to be able to take a range of numbers and do certain things. If it matches a certain criteria, you want that, right? Um, so let's say you have a big population of people and you want people of a certain age or maybe a certain age range or something like that. Um, you can kind of do this if count if to get a count on that, right? And we'll show you a little bit more with this a little bit later on too. Okay. And if you go to the next page on 21, um, you'll see more of this and kind of words it out. So if you go out on the Excel spreadsheet again, do similar type of thing, just stick some numbers in here, right? So B6 to B9, and then you can just do this count function on it, right? They have another set of stuff, B6 to B12, right? This counts non-empty cells, okay? And then this will count the number of empty cells in the range. And then this is what I just gave an example of, right? So count if, here's a cell range, and then here's the criteria, right? Make sure it's within these double quotes here, less than or equal to 2, okay? And then this count if, same thing, what I just did for you is put this ampersand sign and then another cell there, okay? So for those of you still working on extra credit, you can go ahead and try these, right? You put in any random numbers, whatever, right? Just put it in here, try it out, and just kind of apply these formulas for me. And remember, you can do the control tilde to show the formulas in an Excel spreadsheet. So if I came back here, you remember I do control tilde, which on my keyboard happens to be on the top left. And you can see all the formulas in here. And you see that, right? And like I said, when we do your assignments for Excel, that's pretty much what the TAs are going to do. They're going to do control tilde and look at your formulas. Okay, I'm going to revert it back. Control tilde reverts it back. Yes, let's roll down some here. Okay, so some more ifs here. So before we did the if where you're doing some counting here. In this case, you're setting a value based on this if, right? So you can kind of read this, right? So if the amount is greater than 50, there's a $10 shipping cost. Otherwise, it's a $5 shipping cost, right? So really all it's looking for is greater than 50, right? So here's 50, greater than 50. Then they're going to set the value to be 10 or $10, right? Otherwise, it's a 5. Right, so here's the comparison that's going on. If it's true, it's this first part here. If it's false, it's the second part here. Okay, so by applying that formula here, this is what you'll get, right? You'll get the 3082, and then that's less than 50, so that becomes 5. This is less than 50, that becomes 5. This is greater than 50, that becomes 10. Greater than 50 becomes 10, and then it has this here. I think this is simple enough. I can put this onto a sheet for you very quickly. So let me scroll down here. 0.82, 34.15, 76, and 64.41. Okay, so equals if. And see, you got the little help there coming from Excel. Right, now, this is what it's saying here. It's basically saying what we just said on the PowerPoint slide. Logical test, which is, if so-and-so is greater than so-and-so or something like that, then you have a value if it's true and a value if it's false, right? That's what becomes of that value in that cell. Okay, it's either going to be true or false, let's say. So in this case, if this was it greater than, what did we say it was? It was greater than 50, right? Yeah, so it's greater than 50. we want to set it to be $10. If it's not, then it's going to be $5. And then we close paren. Okay. And like I was talking about in my other video, you just drag it down and the formula comes down with it. And adjust because this is the relative cell reference again. Right? And you know, just to reiterate from a past video, remember what the difference is between absolute and a relative cell reference. That's an important concept. Make sure you understand that, right? And remember, for absolute cell reference, you have two dimensions, right? You have like this one, which let's say this is a D, and this is 26, right? So just for the sake of argument, if you want to refer to this as an absolute reference on both ways, you'll be doing D dollar 26. Okay, so I'm just displaying it for you so you can see what that is. But if you need to refer to this and you don't want this to change if I copy the formulas around, then this is how you refer to this cell. Whereas like a relative cell reference, you would refer to the cell as D6. Okay, and that's why you had this. When I dragged it down, it was able to adjust all of these accordingly. See, that's C29. Now it became C30, C31, and C32. Okay. All right, let's see. I go down here. Okay. So now we're gonna just finish this part off, this video off with using and or not, right? And we kind of did something similar with JavaScript to do multiple comparisons and also doing the search engine stuff, right? So if this and that, so both sides of the comparison, if they're both true, then something, right? If either or, like either this one or that one, then you're going to also be true, right? So you remember that. You see on this part, you'll see the chart coming up. I'm going to save that for another video. Let me cut this as a short video, and we'll finish up with the and or not. So here, notice this back part here is the same type of stuff, right? So it's the true or the false, the same as you had over here, the true or the false, right? But basically this part in the front part is just making the comparison more complex, right? So here you only had this one little comparison, C29 greater than 50. Here, you're picking up you know, multiple comparisons, okay? Or in this one is a not. So if it's not this, then it becomes low and high, let's say, okay? So let's, I'm going to read this with you, and let's see if you can follow along with what I'm saying here. So let's look at what the comparisons are. This is the left side. This is the part that is in red, okay? So if B8 is greater than or equal to 2, let's take this. It kind of doesn't show it up here, but let's take it to be this, right? So this is the B 2, 1, 2. That means this 2, right? If it's greater than or equal to 2, this one is true. If C8 is greater than 20, we'll take that, let's see, greater than 20 here, right? So this is the C column, right? Let's say this is A, B, and C. I should have had this A, B, and C up here, but let's say this is greater than 20, which it is, it's 51, right? And then the D, let's say this is the next one, that's less than 20. So that's this, right? So this is true, this is true, this is true. Remember for and, right? And needs all three of these to be true, okay? You must remember that from like the JavaScript or the search engine stuff with the Venn diagrams and everything. So one true, that true, that true. That means you remember this part is the true statement, right? Remember this is true and this is false, right? The first one is the true. So that means the cell becomes not bad. Now let's take a look at this for the next one. Forget about that is looking at this row, is looking at this row, let's say. Okay, so in this row, this B column, this 24 is greater than or equal to 2, so that's true. Is this less than 20? Or greater than 20, I should say. Yes, that's true. And then is D8 less than 20? And it's also true, right? Let me see. So greater than or equal to 2. C8 is greater than 20. And this is false, right? So this is 34. So D8, they want it to be less than 20. So it's not, right? So this is false, right? And that's why this became bad. Okay, all right, so let me reiterate that. So this part, if I mapped it to this, right, forget about the fact that this says whichever number here. Forget about there's no number here actually, right? But I'm just taking this, comparing it to this, that's true. This compared to this, that's true. 34 is not less than 20, so that means this is false. So that's why we became the bad here. Okay. And then likewise, we can probably do the same thing here. Greater than 2, greater than 20, less than 20. So that's why this became not bad. Okay. So the way a not works is the same thing as with the not for the other stuff that we've done, whether it's on the search engine stuff or on JavaScript. So the C8 greater than 50. So let me see. So let's assume this is the C column. So if C8 is greater than 50, in this case, this is 51, so that's true. But then there's a not here, right? So that means it becomes a false, right? And then when it becomes a false, that evaluates to high here. Okay? So C8 greater than 50, that's true, right? That's 51, that's greater than 50. But because there's a not here, it kind of negates that and makes it a false, right? So a false would evaluate to a high here. So in this here, it doesn't show it here, but that's what this would evaluate to. Okay? So hopefully what we just covered right now helps answer some of the questions around doing ifs here. You have the Countif here, where you remember to do the quotes around it. And you can do an ampersand to concatenate something into this to make this comparison. Or you do something like this where you use the AND function, and you notice I can put in a number of these comparisons, and then they all have to be true to make the cell to be this value. If any of them are false, then it becomes this value. And with the not, it becomes a negative of whatever this evaluates to. And remember what it is for OR, right? So instead of an AND here, if this was an OR, it means I only need one of these to evaluate to be true, right? For me to get to this one. And if they're all not true, then it becomes this one, okay? So hopefully that was clear to you. I'll be looking out for your emails. Send me emails if none of this is making sense to you. But go ahead for your extra credit. Try to do some of these things, right? The best way to practice, and it helps you to store examples for your exam, is just to put some numbers in there and then apply these different functions to it, just like you see here. And just let me know if you're having any issues with these basic type of things. I'm going to cut a new video or a separate video for the charts. Okay, thank you.